So you've got a dog, or maybe even a horse in a city like Rayne. Well, there's a specific set of rules you absolutely need to know. And listen, these aren't just friendly suggestions for being a good neighbor. They are the law. Today, we're going to break down the official city code so you have a super clear guide to what's expected of you as a pet owner. Let's jump in. Okay, so here's our game plan. We'll kick things off with the basics in the owner's handbook. Then we'll cover the rules of the road for when you're out and about. After that, we get into the really serious topic of the dangerous dog designation. We'll also touch on the unique rules for keeping horses in town. And finally, we'll look at exactly what happens when any of these rules get broken. All right, first up, the owner's handbook. Think of this as the foundation. These are the core duties that every single animal owner is expected to follow. No ifs, ands, or buts. And it really all starts with one simple question. What does it actually mean to be an owner in the eyes of the law? Well, the code is really broad. It covers anyone harboring an animal. And what's harboring? The ordinance says it's feeding or sheltering an animal for 3 or more days in a row. So if you're doing that, guess what? You are legally its owner, and you're on the hook for everything that comes next. When we're talking about dogs, the law really boils it all down to 2 absolute non-negotiable pillars. First up, rabies shots. This is an annual thing, and that little metal tag, it's not just jewelry for your dog. It has to be on its collar, period. The second pillar is control. Your dog simply cannot be running loose on public property or anyone else's private property. It has to be under your direct physical control at all times. Okay, so that's the deal at home. But what happens the second you and your pet step off your property? That's where Section 2, Rules of the Road, comes in. It gets way more specific about your responsibilities when you're out in public. You hear this phrase a lot in the code, running at large. So what does that really mean? It's simple. Your animal is anywhere off your own property and it is not under your direct physical control. That's it. And get this, every time it happens, it counts as a whole new separate violation. And here's what direct physical control looks like in the real world. The city is super precise about what a leash is. It cannot be longer than 15 feet, and it has to be strong enough for your specific animal. So you know that popular retractable leash that can go out to 20 or 25 feet? Technically, that doesn't meet the city code. But, it's not just about being on a leash. Your responsibility goes way beyond that. It's about your dog's behavior. The ordinance spells out exactly what's considered a public nuisance. Stuff like nonstop barking, chasing cars, or bothering people just walking by. All of that can land you in hot water. So it's about control of the leash for sure, but also control of your dog's actions. Okay, we're shifting gears now to what is, by far, the most serious label an animal can get. This isn't about just being a nuisance anymore. This is about being seen as a direct threat to public safety. The legal definition is all about behavior. A dog can be declared dangerous if it's aggressively bitten someone, attacked another pet, or even just chased a person in a scary way, as long as someone is willing to swear to it in a formal statement. Now, there is a very specific part of this ordinance that's critical to understand. The code creates what's called an irrefutable presumption. That's a fancy legal term that basically means the debate is over before it starts. It states that if a dog meets the definition of a pit bull, and that includes breeds like Staffordshire Bull Terriers or American Pit Bull Terriers, it is automatically, by law, considered a dangerous dog. No hearing, no investigation into that specific dog's behavior is needed. So how does this actually happen? Well, it's a formal 3-step process. It all starts when any adult files a sworn written complaint. Then, animal control has to investigate. And finally, the director makes the official call. Either the dog is declared dangerous or the complaint is dismissed. The owner can appeal, but this is how the process gets started. And this is the million-dollar question. Once that declaration is final, a completely new and much stricter set of rules clicks into place. And these rules apply to the owner and the dog for the rest of its life. And the requirements are no joke. They are incredibly specific. For starters, that leash length, it drops from 15 feet all the way down to just 4. A muzzle is now mandatory anytime the dog is outside its pen. The pen itself has to be like a fortress, a secure top or walls that are 8 feet high. You also need a Beware of Dog sign, a special $50 permit every year, a special red ID tag, and a microchip. It's a serious checklist, and you have to follow it to the letter. All right, let's pivot completely. We've talked a lot about dogs, so now let's talk about horses. The city code has a few very specific rules for anyone who wants to keep equines inside the city limits. The main rule for horses is all about location, and it's designed to make sure these large animals and residential neighborhoods can get along. It specifically targets male animals. If you have a stallion or a male donkey, you are not allowed to keep it within 300 feet of any house or business. Just to give you a sense of scale, that's the full length of a football field. It's a pretty big buffer zone. So yeah, that is the magic number to remember, 300 feet. For these specific animals, it is the defining rule for keeping them in town. And for our final section, let's talk about the consequences. We've gone over all the rules, but what happens when somebody breaks them? Well, the city has a very clear system of fees and procedures. Okay, so let's say your animal gets picked up and impounded. Getting it back starts with a flat fee. It's going to cost you $25 right off the bat just to reclaim your pet from the shelter. But, oh, that's just the start. Because on top of that initial $25, they tack on a $15 boarding fee for every single day your animal is held there. You can see how those costs can add up really, really fast. Now, there is an alternative. For a more minor violation, like your dog just running loose, an officer can choose to just issue a $10 ticket on the spot instead of taking the animal in. If you pay that ticket within 72 hours, the whole thing is over. This timeline right here, this is absolutely crucial for every single pet owner to understand. The moment an animal is impounded, a clock starts ticking. You have 5 days, just 5, to show up and pay all the fees to get your animal back. Because after that 5th day, the city legally has the right to either humanely destroy the animal or sell it. The window to act is incredibly small. So these are the rules on the books. They're all designed to create a system where people and animals can live together safely. But it does bring up a bigger question, right? Now that you know what's required in a city like this, take a look at your own community. Do you think the rules where you live strike the right balance between a pet owner's freedom and overall public safety? It's definitely something worth thinking about.